And so, Mike, sometime this year, you, the middleweight champ, will face the greatest welterweight champ of all time. How did this fight get put together?
Yeah, well, this fight was actually offered to me around last October, and the fight couldn't come to fruition. I believe George couldn't agree to terms with the UFC. So I kind of put that fight out of my mind, and I started thinking about the next contenders in the UFC. And, of course, I got a phone call a week ago from Dana White saying, listen, the fight's back on the table. George wants to fight you, and, you know, it's a big fight. Now, of course, I said yes. You know, George St. Pierre is a legendary fighter. He's had one of the best careers, if not the best career, in the history of the... I'll put this question to you right now. If you are Yoel Romero or Luke Rockhold or Jacare or any of these guys, if you were offered a fight with GSP, I know for a fact you're going to take that fight. So why shouldn't I do the same? I deserve this payday. I deserve this fight. Not only to do with the payday, I want this fight for my legacy. I've beat Dan Henderson. I've beat Anderson Silva. George St. Pierre is also another legend that I want to add to my resume.
Hey everyone, Megan O'Leary here inside T-Mobile Arena. We are waiting for the stars of the co-main and main event of UFC 209 to work out right here in Las Vegas for fans. You had short and sweet open workout here. What's this fight week been like for you?
It's been good so far. My weight's great. I feel awesome. It's fighting the same opponent, so in all, I'm just a more prepared Tyron Woodley, and I feel good. I'm just going to go out there and do better than what I did last time. I went out there and I watched the fight again. It was just moments in that fight where I could have capitalized a little bit more. This time I'll do that.
I spent a lot of time, most of my fights have been here in Las Vegas, so I feel comfortable here. And what makes it even more comfortable is that I've already been five in a rounds with the champ. I'm ready to go out there and have some fun this go-round. And I feel so much better, so much more explosive and stronger going into this next fight.
I don't want too much training. I want to give a couple questions. Speak with my friends. Who give me best question? I have gifts, like couple gifts.
Habib, you did something that not a lot of fighters do. You gave gifts to the fans. Normally it's kind of opposite there. The fans give you gifts. Why was that important today?
A lot of fighters come training, show how these guys train hard and go back, but my hard training is finished already, and I'm come here for spend time with my friends, give these guys respect, and that's why I make this decision. I don't want to give brothers a chance to make decision. That's why I train hard all my life. I want to finish this game.
I'm having fun here. This is great. Lost my voice during this, but we're here at the T-Mobile Arena doing what we're doing, going diamond to first status. So I'm like, I'm going to outpoint this guy, I'm going to outpin him, I'm going to outwork him, and I'm going to outgas him. This guy stands no chance against me. I prepared way too much. My name's El Kukui. I'm a boogeyman. I'm the scariest motherfucker out there. Way too much for Khabib. Right? Put him behind.
Voicemail, wasn't it?
Straight to voicemail.
Tyron, you might be the worst treated champion in UFC history, but on this podcast, you're number one in our hearts, all right? So you got to take that home with you.
Oh, okay. They're trying to butter me up.
Number one in our hearts and number one on our rankings. We got to let the viewers know of this inside joke. You know, Tyron Woodley was not very happy with me at the tail end of last year. You know, I got to be honest. The rankings, they're part of my job. I do them. I don't sit over them and study them and put hours and hours of time into them. They're rankings, and I had Tyron ranked behind Stephen Thompson, which was an error on my part. I do admit that. So, Tyron noticed. He let me know about it, and it was corrected at the end of the year.
It was more so, Brad. It's a few people that name come across for interviews when I'm tired and cutting weight and I don't feel like it. You were amongst a few people that I said, okay, no matter what I feel like or what I got going on, because the way that they bring the news unbiasedly, and they do such a great job on actually researching and not asking the same exact questions as everyone else, then I feel like, it's good for me to do an interview with those guys. So I was a little bit like, damn, man, my man Brett on this list, he got my opponent ranked, above me, which is kind of crazy, and I'm the champion. So, I wasn't really feeling it, but, we talked about it like men. It's changed, and I got a question. Who did you put the pick in for this fight for? Me and Wonderboy.
Oh, yeah, put him on the spot. Yeah.
Haven't made my prediction yet, Tyron. You're going to have to go like everybody else, ESPN.com, and check out the predictions for UFC 209.
Well, you guys are going to have to go to the Champ Camp or subscribe on YouTube to get any answers out of me today then.
Hey T Wood, it's because of people like Brett that you're an underdog for every fight for the past decade.
Oh, jeez,
you know?
just
I mean,
throw
come
me
on.
right under the bus there.
Hey, you know what? I actually enjoy that. It keeps the pressure on there. It keeps the edge. You know, I train with young, hungry fighters to keep that reminder of what I used to be like. It was at a certain point in my career where, you know, I would have bitched your damn head off to be a world champion. And now that I'm here, I got to have that same mindset to become the greatest welterweight of all time. So it's never been my goal just to be the champion. It's never been my goal, just to make it to the UFC. So now that a couple, you know, milestones have been marked, the ultimate goal is to be the greatest welterweight and one of the best fighters ever.
You know, he mentioned the underdog role, and that's a role that you know very well. But I'm sure you do feel like the champion at this point, right? I mean, I do watch those Champ Camp videos, and you're playing EA Sports against the Cowboy, the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys in front of hundreds of fans. You're hanging out with Ludacris, Snoop Dogg's on there. You've had you've enjoyed your time as a champion, right? It's opened up some doors, and you've been doing some fun things. Does any one particular thing stick out?
Yeah, you know, the thing that sticks out the most is that I fund my Champ Camp video. I'm glad you reminded that. So all you listeners, make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe, Tyron Woodley, and check out the previous and the upcoming episode of Champ Camp, the final one before the fight, and it will slap you all up in the face. So that's funded by me. It's produced by me. I pick up the bill for the flights, for the production, for the videography. Nobody set me up to meet Ludacris, Snoop Dogg, Wiz Khalifa. All those things are done by myself. Nobody set me up with the EA Sport to play John Madden against Dak Prescott, Mike Evans, and Eric Berry. There's only 4 people total, and they chose to pick me. All those things are orchestrated and set up through myself or people within my network. So I feel like it's not, hey, look, things aren't that bad. I'm having to do it myself. No one's making these introductions and making these meetings or getting things set up for me. So with that said, you know, it's always been that way for me. I enjoy it. It keeps me on my toes. It keeps the hunger and hustle going forward. And there's no excuse. I'm successful. I'm a great businessman. I got a great family, great wife, great kids. You know, I got great coaches and people around me supporting me. I'm not complaining by any means, but let's not get it twisted. I'm still out in these streets hitting the pavement.
Tyron, you made a big splash in recent weeks. Your appearances on SportsCenter with Hannah Storm. You were on again today. For anybody that hasn't seen that, I'd encourage them to check out that video on ESPN.com. But the big theme was about you being very outspoken about race, about your treatment as champion. It's been talked about a lot. It became some headlines. What has the follow-up been like for you? How has doing that changed your situation anyway?
You know, the whole reason for speaking out is, you know, a lot of people feel that that's an issue in the sport, but they're too scared to say it. Many are champions. Many hit my DM up like it was going down in my DM because everybody, oh, my God, I've experienced this, and oh, my God, I can't believe you said it. It's so true, and, man, I'm so glad you spoke out, and I don't know how to deal with it, and I didn't have the courage to say anything. I'm talking about former, current, UFC, some champions, some guys, you know what I mean? Like, they just have came out the woodworks. And it was only to put the conversation on the table. It's only to make it where people can't sweep it under the rug and act like it doesn't, doesn't exist. And it also was to find a solution. It's not to complain. You know what I mean? It's not to, some people say, Tyron Woodley's a race baiting. How am I race baiting? How am I playing a race card? A race card says that someone of a different nationality has stopped me from becoming successful. Someone held me down and basically put so many obstacles where it prevented me from being successful. I'm a world champion. If anything, my entire statement is that in spite of having to work a little bit harder than some of my peers, in spite of having some roadblocks put there, I found a way to maneuver around them and still get to the final destination, relocated my GPS, and I'm where I was supposed to be at anyway. So that's my message. And, yeah, the promotion, they want to address some of those issues. They want to sit and talk, have marketing meetings. They want to see what they can do differently because they have a lot of African-Americans on their roster. And even more importantly, WME has a lot of African-American clients, athletes, actors. And if they want to get me robbed up and get their clients robbed up, might not be a good move. So I think in general, has been addressed, and they're making efforts to try to correct things, anything from their standpoint. So nothing can ever be said that, hey, we didn't listen to our athletes. We didn't even attempt to make a solution for it, and that's what's going on right now.
What do you think that this fight does in terms of you being able to change that narrative and receive the same treatment that you see the UFC giving some of your other champions and be promoted as a dominant champion and not as, a guy who fought Stephen Thompson hard? I mean, can this fight really do it? And I think you'll know what I'm asking here, Tyron, is that a lot of people, it was very clear that you had other interests outside of an immediate rematch with Stephen Thompson. You were looking at George St. Pierre, Nick Diaz. You were looking at Michael Bisping. Those types of fights that really raise your profile. At the end of the day, do you have to go out and knock this guy out basically in the first round to raise your profile, or can just a victory, a title defense, get the job done? Does this fight fit into the overall legacy that you are trying to build?
Unfortunately, this is just a fight for you guys. This is a fight the fans want to see. This is a fight that we running back because the judges got it wrong. This is a fight that Wonder Boy is basically in a position where he's given a second chance. For me, it's another chance for me to go out there and show I plan on being in this division against a very high-level opponent.